So I've always liked when other YouTubers, do a quick bookshelf tour. My bookshelf kind of grew based on the inspiration of seeing other people's. I think what I have at no other bookshelf. Welcome back to the Muscle Code YouTube channel. This is my fourth video now. Good news. I have a couple comments on my last video from my mother-in-law, but they were actually good comments, like good insightful comments, so thank you. Today we're going back to the original list of top 5 books that I like that most people didn't, and we'll jump right into it with number 3, which is Isaac Asimov, Foundation and Earth, book 5, I guess, in the Foundation series. It's the last one chronologically in the story, so it's really the last Foundation novel. Prelude to Foundation came out afterwards, which is kind of a prequel, but for our purposes, it's book 5 in the series. And the original trilogy is considered one of the best science fiction series ever written, and I agree, it's one of my favorite series. Last year, it won my personal award for best. Even though it's 3 books, I considered it one because I have an omnibus of it all in one. So it won my award for best book of the year. And my interest in Foundation really started in a kind of a unique way. Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars Phantom Menace. No one really liked him. He didn't really click. He was kind of goofy, but no one really liked him. And then 20 years later, a theory came out that he was actually a Sith Lord. And all the clues are there. I've watched like 20 videos on the topic, and I 100% agree that Jar Jar Binks was meant to be a Sith Lord. It was going to be revealed in the second of the prequel movies. But George Lucas got scared when no one liked the character, and he totally went a different way. And then Count Dooku arrived. No one knew what. So the fact is that I believe in the theory. Well, to make a long story short, some people commented that Jar Jar Binks was kind of influenced by the Mule in the Foundation series. So that was my inspiration to get into the Foundation series. The Mule is in book 2, and I definitely see the connection. People love the first 3 books, him included. Across the board, people were disappointed in this edition, and I just wasn't. I mean, he's a vintage. Isaac Asimov is a vintage science fiction writer, so there's a lot of talking, and you can kind of tell he's debating back and forth with himself, even though there's 2 characters in the story, and so you got to take it with a grain of salt. Take it from what it's worth. But the one thing Isaac Asimov does that I would give him probably the top in my ranking was he ends his stories with a couple lines that just hits hard. He's a great mystery writer. And in this one, the ending of this one hit me so hard. It's the only time I remember finishing a book and being truly scared and kind of freaked out, whatever you want to say. He nailed it with the ending on this one in the last few lines. Because then I went on the message boards and I searched into it, and the clues were there to support this reveal and to support the freaky ending. So I just really liked it. It's really, these books are mind expanding. And if you like celestial astrology, if you like really feel like you're out in the stars, these books are right for you. And read it all the way through to Foundation and Earth. I thought it was a great, just a smart way to pull it all together, and it's a kind of a cool vintage version I have here too. So number 3 in my list of top 5 books I like, no one else didn't really seem to, Foundation and Earth, Isaac Asimov. Moving into number 2, and there's a caveat here. The story, the theory or the idea behind this is, whatever you do for your first book in a series is usually your favorite for reasons that you can't explain. But Terry Pratchett, Moving Pictures, Discworld, is my favorite book in the Discworld. It might be because it was my first one, but it doesn't change the fact that it is my first It is my favorite. And of the research I've done, it's kind of a hobby of mine when I'm just killing time to look up other people's top 10 Discworld novels. I've never seen Moving Pictures listed, but to me, it's my favorite. It's interesting. I came across Terry Pratchett because I wanted to read a book from all the Terrys in the fantasy genre. There's Terry Goodkind, Terry Brooks, and Terry Pratchett. I read a book from all three of them, and Terry Pratchett won out as my favorite of the three. And I've read half of his Discworld novels. Like, I've read Moving Pictures twice. Here's the vintage version, the updated version. I'll put the vintage version here. But it's just, it's the characters, his characterization, that really sets Pratchett apart in my mind. He can characterize a character in 2 or 3 sentences and just nail it, and you get it. Other authors should take notes of how he does characterization. I mentioned in my first video that Dan Brown was a big influence in my reading career, but Terry Pratchett is a big influence in my writing career. The way he characterizes, the way people interact, the way that all the Discworld works together was a turning point in my life. And Moving Pictures is a satire on Hollywood and the whole, of movies of today. He does a good job of, the satire is clear. So if you're a movie buff, this is the Discworld movie to start with. The satire is clear on basically his thoughts on Hollywood today and in the past. And this one just has it all. It ends on a great battle scene, great action scene, and you would think Discworld is comedy fantasy, but the action scenes are better in Discworld than Game of Thrones even. The action scene. In a lot of other books, you kind of skim over the action scenes. It's kind of just filler. But with Discworld, even though it's comedy, the action scenes are top notch. And I like Discworld novels that end on a world-shattering, world-saving stage, and this one certainly does, and just in a perfect way. Because then there's some that end on a more quaint, intimate, or subdued way. But I like the big extravaganzas, and this one definitely is. And it introduces Gaspode, one of my favorite Discworld characters, because he kind of reminds me of a dog that Jesse and I looked after in his older ages. He was just a gnarly dog. His name was Toast, and he kind of reminds me of Gaspode. He was kind of wise and just wanted to eat and wasn't really interested in being nice, but then he was nice at times. So Gaspode plays a big part in this one, and it's just I've never seen it in anyone's top 10, but it's my first Discworld novel. And it still remains my favorite after 21 novels in the series. So 21, no one's knocked it off so far. So that's it, number 3 and number 2. Coming up in the next video will be the number 1 book I liked that no one else really didn't. So it's exciting. Let's see who it is. And hope you'll be back. Thanks. So I've always liked when other YouTubers do a quick bookshelf tour. My bookshelf kind of grew based on the inspiration of seeing other people's. I think what I have that no other bookshelf